Die Mauer ist offen.
Grenze öffnet tatsächlich die Tore. Die Freude ist unermesslich. Hören Sie den Jubel. Die Menschen stürmen zu Tausenden heraus. Es ist unglaublich. Ja, liebe Zuhörer, der 9. November 1989 wird in die Geschichte eingehen. Vor mir steht ein
The Lives of Others and Goodbye Lenin are each hailed for their representation of the German Democratic Republic, the GDR. But as Jennifer Creech wrote, the two films radically oppose each other, and this response has been common in the reception of the two films. One is often seen as a dark and suspenseful thriller in which the Stasi blacklist, manipulate, threaten, and spy on every citizen's personal life. The other, a light comedy in which an idealist young man recreates the GDR in the bedroom of his loyal socialist mother to prevent her from having another heart attack. Now, these descriptions are both accurate, but too narrow and one-dimensional to fully represent the many facets of East Germany's experience with the GDR. If you look a little closer at the ideologies behind the events, objects of nostalgia, and scare tactics, you can see in these films that the GDR was for many both a force of oppression and an institution of familiarity and security. Each of these films give the first impression of making one statement or the other, but upon further inspection, they really portray both. On the surface, Goodbye Lenin is most preoccupied with remembering the small comforts and familiarities of the GDR.
Hab so einen Heißhunger auf Spreewaldgurken. Bringst welche mit?
Ein Spreewaldgurken?
Mensch, Junge, wo lebst du denn?
In order to keep his big secret, Alex digs up old jars and packages and transfers post-GDR food into the GDR containers.
Fix Gold!
Wie kommst du eigentlich dazu, in meinem Schrank zu schnüffeln?
Nicht in deinem Schrank, in der Altkleidersammlung. Wie läufst du überhaupt rum? Wäre schön, wenn du auch ein bisschen mitdenken würdest.
Everybody wears their old, plain clothing around Christiane, and Alex redecorates her room the way it used to be, with traditional GDR furnishings. These superficial memories are very important to the tone and feel of the film, and are emphasized more than any ideology. Partially because these superficialities are literally meant to comfort Christiane, but also because of a shared human fondness for childhood and stability. Alex's physical recreation of the GDR leads us to also feel comforted by its memory rather than intimidated. But this film also hints at oppression. Early in the movie, Alex joins several hundred people for some evening exercise and marches for the right to go for walks without the Berlin Wall getting in their way. Alex's mother, Christiane, witnesses her son's involvement in the protest and the police's hostile crackdown. The shock induces a heart attack. Alex is restrained from helping his mother, beaten, and detained, despite having done nothing except march peacefully. He and his sister Ariana grow up believing that their father abandoned the family and fled to the West because of a woman.
Hat Ihr Mann mit Ihnen über eine Republikflucht gesprochen?
Frau Körner.
Ließ sich mein Erzeuger im kapitalistischen Ausland von einer Klassenfeindin das Hirn wegvögeln.
During their convalescence, Christiane reveals the truth.
Euer Vater ist nicht wegen einer anderen Frau im Westen geblieben. Das war gelogen.
Rather than follow her husband, she hid the letters he sent to Alex and Ariana and embraced life in the GDR.
Die haben ihm die Arbeit so schwer gemacht. Nur weil er nicht in der Partei war. Euer Vater wollte im Westen bleiben und ich sollte dann mit euch nachkommen. Tja, ich hab's nicht geschafft. Und euch hätten sie mir wegnehmen können. Versteht ihr?
It was a life decision made in fear. These darker histories seem to pale in comparison to those told in The Lives of Others, a film which focuses on the oppressive nature of the GDR. Jurska, a director, is blacklisted.
So was gibt's doch gar nicht bei uns. Sie sollten vorsichtiger sein in Ihrer Wortwahl.
Unable to work because of a radical statement he made about the GDR. Dryman, a playwright, is praised for not questioning the GDR in his plays. Homes are intricately wired and files are kept on all conversations, interactions, and dealings, supposedly to ensure security.
Ja?
Frau Meinecke, ein Wort zu irgendwem und Ihre Mascha verliert morgen ihren Medizinstudienplatz.
People can be threatened, blackmailed, and interrogated for any number of seemingly benign behaviors, such as trying to go to the West or helping someone else to, or for saying or believing anything unsavory about the GDR.
Ich weiß nichts.
Wenn Sie uns im humanistischen System so etwas zutrauen, dann hätten wir schon Recht, Sie zu verhaften, auch wenn sonst gar nichts wäre.
The secret police are portrayed as thoroughly corrupt and power-hungry, taking advantage of their position to get the things they want at any cost.
Ob sie ihr das Genick brechen oder nicht, ist ihnen überlassen. Ich will sie auf jeden Fall nicht wieder auf einer deutschen Bühne spielen sehen.
Even if that cost is the livelihood and happiness of those they claim to protect.
Passt schon auf dich auf.
These things are supposed to make the film feel realistic, a true portrayal of history, free of sugarcoating or nostalgic distractions. The film is praised for this, but while there may not be any attention paid to Trebby cars or Spreewald pickles, many of the props used in the lives of others are authentic Stasi equipment. Von Donnersmarck shared in the commentary that they were borrowed from museums and private collections. These details create an authentic mise-en-scène throughout the movie. Perhaps this attempt at realism is nostalgic in and of itself.
Im Grunde verstehe ich sie.
Here, Hemp offers us something else to consider.
Was soll man noch schreiben in dieser BRD? Nichts mehr da, woran man glauben kann. Nichts mehr, wogegen man rebellieren kann. Es war schön in unserer kleinen Republik. Das verstehen viele erst jetzt.
While the GDR was a force of oppression in people's lives, it also provided an ideology to either believe in or fight against. Although rebelling was made difficult and consequences were torturous, such consistency and predictability could also be seen as familiarity and security. It's an odd perspective if you believe strongly in democracy and freedom, but it's a perspective nonetheless. Even though there are examples of oppression and familiarity in both films, we don't always see them because they're edited in such a way that manipulates our impression of the scenes. For example, The Lives of Others paints a picture of how we're supposed to feel about the GDR, with its opposing color schemes. In this scene, Dryman is down in his cozy apartment, and Wiesler is upstairs in isolation. Examine how the visual contrast between the two settings makes Wiesler look artless and cold next to Dryman's warmth and creativity. But look what happens when we do some editing and switch the colors. The following scene in Goodbye Lenin appears comic and cheerful because the pacing has been quadrupled and because of the fast music. Imagine what would happen if we put the same music behind the wiretapping scene in The Lives of Others and sped that up as well. Or perhaps slowed down the furniture rearranging scene and added the more suspenseful music from The Lives of Others. It's really interesting to see how important these things are to the mood of each film, and how different they appear when a few things are tweaked. It's an important reminder that films are created by people and aren't an exact replica of history, whether they focus on oppression or familiarity. They are presented in such a way that makes the GDR seem black and white, either good or bad, intimidating or pleasant, sugar-coated or realistic. But as we have revealed, a presentation is all it is. Hiding behind the cinematography and editing is a collection of stories that ultimately reveal the multifaceted nature of the GDR. It's helpful to remember that in film, when we say something is in black and white, it's actually shot in a grayscale. This is also true of Goodbye Lenin and the Lives of Others, and it's true of the GDR. Memories of both historical and personal events can change according to the current values of the group that recollects them. By narrowing in on different aspects of the GDR in their films, the filmmakers of Goodbye Lenin and the Lives of Others did just that. They remembered the GDR according to stereotypes, not facts or historical realities, but ideas of facts and historical realities. Ironically, both films revolve around themes of deception and manipulation, and in each, the tables are turned at the last minute. In The Lives of Others, Wiesler deceives and manipulates Strymon and Zeeland, and he appears to be in a position of power over them, separate and omniscient. But in the end, he's so moved by the emotion of their lives that he falls to their level, so to speak. Strymon is then the one watching Wiesler in a way when he reads the files written on him and discovers the Laszlo operation. In Goodbye Lenin, Alex deceives and manipulates his mother and appears to be in a position of power over her, separate and omniscient. But in the end, we discover that he has been fooling himself almost as much, and his mother then watches him as he gets lost in his own creation. By analyzing these films from a position of skepticism, we are turning the tables on the filmmakers who stand in a position of power over us as viewers, separate and omniscient. In breaking down their strategies, we discover that they too are lost in their creations, personalizing and simplifying history to suit the changing times.
Als ich an diesem Tag in die Wolken starrte, wurde mir klar, dass die Wahrheit nur eine zweifelhafte Angelegenheit war, die ich leicht Mutters gewohnter Wahrnehmung angleichen konnte.